Well, it's that time of year again where every single coaster YouTuber goes over their top 25 coasters. So I guess it's time for me to do mine. 2024 was an insane year for me. I visited Universal Studios, Cedar Point, and Kings Island for the first time this year. I also revisited Six Flags Over Texas for the first time in 2 years. And I, of course, also revisited the other SoCal theme parks many times. So without further ado, here are my top 25 coasters. Number 25, Raptor, a B&M inverted coaster at Cedar Point. If there's something I love about inverts, it's that snappiness. The most surprising snapping moment on Raptor is the Cobra Roll. That's the best Cobra Roll I've ever ridden. Raptor is awesome. Number 24, New Texas Giant, an RMC hybrid coaster at Six Flags Over Texas. The original RMC has slowly been getting slower and less powerful. That doesn't mean it's still a great ride though. The drop is great and the airtime hills throughout the ride are amazing. Hopefully this ride will start running faster again. Number 23, Viper, an Aerodynamics looper at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I don't care what people say, Viper is an elite ride. The positive G-forces on this thing are absolutely insane. It's always a coin flip to see if I'll gray out on this thing. Hopefully this isn't the next ride to get the Zimmerman axe at Magic Mountain. Number 22, The Beast, a Kings Island wooden coaster. The longest coaster in the US still holds up after 45 years. Sure, the layout's a little bit outdated, but that Rose Bowl at the end is one of the craziest endings to a coaster ever. I love The Beast. Number 21, Mr. Freeze, a Premier Rides LIM launch coaster at Six Flags Over Texas. The launch on Mr. Freeze is probably the most intense magnetic launch I've ever ridden. Also, the inverted top hat is insane as well. I do like the option to ride this forwards or backwards, but I definitely prefer riding this backwards. Number 20, Full Throttle, a Premier Rides Skyrocket 3 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. One of the greatest inversions of all time is Full Throttle's loop. It's so massive, is massive, that it slows down at the peak and you get some wicked hang time. It's also definitely too short, but that loop makes up for it every time. Number 19, Silver Bullet, a B&M inverted coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. This is probably my most controversial pick in my top 25. Like I've said before, I love snappy inverted coasters, and Silver Bullet is no exception. The layout is very unique with all the funky turns, but the best parts of this ride include the zero G-roll, the corkscrews, and the helix. I love Silver Bullet. Changed my mind. Number 18, Shockwave, a Schwarzkopf looping coaster at Six Flags Over Texas. I was pleasantly surprised by how much airtime I got in Shockwave this year. In the back row, you get absolutely yonked off those hills. And of course, the double loop is awesome as well, but those airtime hills made this a top 20 coaster for me. Number 17, Banshee, a B&M inverted coaster at Kings Island. Now I know I said I love whip on inverted coasters, but I also really love hang time. And on an inverted coaster, it's somehow even crazier. The inversions on Banshee are also so massive that you start to float through them. Not the pretzel knot though, that's a pretty crazy moment. But the best moment in my opinion is the drop, because there's no pre-drop, so you get flung down. Insert poor taste joke, blah blah blah, don't jump into restricted areas, blah blah blah. Number 16, Mystic Timbers, a GCI wooden coaster at Kings Island. This ride is basically like, hey, you like quick pops of airtime? We have a lot of that. And that is totally awesome. Throw in some quick turns and the shed, and you get Mystic Timbers, GCI's best in the US. Hey, that rhymes. Number 15, Afterburn, a B&M inverted coaster at Carowinds. The best inverted coaster that I've ridden has to be Afterburn. I've only ridden it once, but it was so awesome that it's been in my top 25 ever since. Of course, the whip and intensity is amazing on this ride. The loops and the Batwing stand out as the most intense moments. I just love Afterburn. Number 14, Accelerator, an Intamin Accelerator coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. This is an incredibly short ride, but that launch and the top hat makes up for it and then some. This has to be the most powerful launch that I've ever experienced, and that top hat delivers some insane airtime in the back row. Hopefully this also doesn't get the Zimmerman axe in the near future. Number 13, Wonder Woman, Flight of Courage, an RMC Raptor at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This has to be one of the best first drops in the world. The 12-car train helps with that a lot. If you're in the back row, you get absolutely yeeted out of your seat. The rest of the ride has some great airtime moments as well, and some floating inversions. And if you get a ride with the trims off, then you're in for an insane ride. Number 12, Tatsu, a B&M flying coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Tatsu will always be one of my favorite rides at Magic Mountain. B&M did an amazing job making you feel like you're flying on this. But I feel like the whole ride is just leading up to the finale, including one of the most insane inversions ever, the pretzel loop. This element is just so insane I can't really describe it, and this thing at night is just truly astonishing. Number 11, Thunder Striker, a B&M hypercoaster at Carowinds. Why, oh why did Six Flags I guess. Anyways, why did they not pay for the rights to keep the Intimidator name? Other than that, this is a great coaster. It's not a creative layout, but the endless airtime hills are pretty cool. Number 10, Millennium Forest, an Intamin Giga Coaster at Cedar Point. The world's first Giga Coaster is unsurprisingly still a top 10 coaster. I mean, sure, the airtime is kind of weak at times, and the amount of overbanks is a little bit ridiculous, but the sheer speed and size of this ride is what makes it so awesome. Best row is the front because you feel the speed the entire ride. Number 9, Maverick, an Intamin Blitz Coaster at Cedar Point. This is the most complete roller coaster that I've ever ridden. It has everything: a launched lift hill, a booster launch, snappy elements, an inversion, a lame inversion but still an inversion, and of course, airtime. This ride is something you just can't skip when visiting Cedar Point. Number 8, Magnum XL200, an Aerodynamics hypercoaster at Cedar Point. This is probably the most polarizing coaster on my list. Some people will agree that yes, it is a top 10 coaster, and other people will disagree and say it's a bottom 10 coaster. I say it's a top 10 coaster because of those freaking triangle airtime hills at the end. That part is so psychotic, I just can't believe it exists. And it's not like you're just getting one crazy hill. No. It's a ton of hills, and I'm always speechless getting off this ride. Number 7, X2, an Aerodynamics multi-dimensional coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Aero's last coaster was their best. I mean, how could you not love a coaster where you keep flipping over and over and over and over? I don't like the end, that part hurts like crazy. But the rest of the ride, including that insane drop, is amazing. Number 6, Orion, a B&M Giga Coaster at Kings Island. While yes, this ride is very short, the few elements this does have are incredible. The drop in the back row is worth the entire ride, the speed hill is fantastic, and the helix even provides some decent positive G-forces. Orion is an underrated coaster. Change my mind. Number 5, Ghost Rider, a CCI wooden coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. My favorite wooden coaster is still one of the greatest coasters ever built. The lateral Gs on this are absolutely insane, but the real reason Ghost Rider is this high is because of the serious airtime on the drop, camelback, and of course, the mid-course. That drop off the mid-course is one of the best airtime moments ever. Number 4, Diamondback, a B&M hypercoaster at Kings Island. Diamondback is one of B&M's best creations. The airtime on this coaster is so sustained, there's one hill where I counted 6 straight seconds of airtime. Not to mention the epic splashdown at the end as well. This ride is so incredible, and I'm so happy I made this my number 100 credit. Number 3, Twisted Colossus, an RMC hybrid coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I've been riding Twisted Colossus for 9 years now, and it's still as incredible as it was then. The drops in the back row are just ridiculous. The Top Gun stall is one of the best inversions ever, and when you get a perfect duel, this ride is just so much better. You gotta love Twisted. Number 2, Fury 325, a B&M Giga Coaster at Carowinds. The crown jewel of B&M never fails to deliver. The sheer size and speed of this ride is something you just have to see yourself. The drop in the back row is one of the craziest drops ever. The treble clef is one of the best turnaround elements ever. The hive dive is just awesome. The helix is boring until that random head chopper comes out of nowhere. And just the sheer speed of this ride is amazing. I can't wait to ride this again. Number 1, Steel Vengeance, an RMC Hyper Hybrid Coaster. Oh look, another coaster list topped off by Steel Vengeance. How original. In all seriousness, the amount of airtime on this coaster is just insane. From the overbank, to the drop, to the bunny hills, to the sideways hill, to the inversions, this ride is just so freaking amazing. The part that makes this coaster my number 1 is the finale. It's just like RMC was trying to throw in as many airtime hills as possible to end this masterpiece of a coaster. And that's my list. Hopefully I'll be able to do another top 25 next year with a lot of new coasters. If you enjoyed this video, you should like, comment, and subscribe for more metal and coaster content just like this. Also, you should pre-save my new song, This Is Your Brain on Drugs, with the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace!